Hi, everyone. Welcome to this holiday edition of the Current Temp that I am calling Cyber 5 and the Christmas Market. I'm going to explain both of those in just a moment. If you track the news or read online, you have probably seen some headlines that said record spending online this holiday season. That sounds like the economy is just roaring right along, but is that the case? I mean, if you talk to real people or even look at your own credit card statement, it might look a little bit different. Also, are we spending because we're more confident? Are the American people, the American consumers, are we feeling good about this? And what in the world is BNPL? It's exploding. You may be a part of it, and we're going to talk about that as well, all on this edition of the Current Temp. Thank you all for joining us. Before I get started, I want to make sure and thank Lexus, our highly valued and super quality sponsor. You know that we love the product and the people, and we're going to talk more about Lexus in just a moment. But first, I want to thank my friend here, my co-host, my partner, Bill Gerner. Bill is our senior investment manager at Financial Consulting Group Investment Company. Been in the business for a very long time. And Bill, have you ever heard the term Cyber 5?
No.
Well, I hadn't either until I started doing this research today. Cyber 5 are the critical 5 shopping days from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. They call that Cyber 5. And so as we're seeing these reports of record spending, apparently that's where that came from so far, because we're just now past Thanksgiving. So here's the question. We're seeing both record spending and inflation fatigue. You know, what are your thoughts on holiday spending so far?
I think holiday spending's been good. I know because we put out milk and cookies for the Amazon men at our house.
Got a lot of boxes.
A lot of boxes, and but people are spending. And you know, you said inflation. It's really going to take a little bit more time for it to come down because gasoline prices are down.
Yeah.
Eggs are down. I get to eat them now.
Yeah.
So things are starting to come down, but it's hard to stop inflation. It's easier to get it going than to get people to reduce prices, but that's supply and demand. I think it will happen, but I can tell you from my experience, people are spending more.
Well, let's talk about this. I've got some numbers to talk about what happened since Cyber 5 or since Thanksgiving Day. Check this out. Black Friday alone, 2025, we saw $11.8 billion being spent. That's up 9%. Let's round it up, almost 10%. And then on Cyber Monday, we saw an additional $14 billion spent, and that's up 7%. So we're seeing massive spending numbers, but is that actual growth, or do you think inflation is just making things more expensive?
I think it's growth. I think people are spending more.
Okay.
And I think it's going to get better. I think next year it's going to be good, and I think people are optimistic that prices will come down and level off in here.
Well, it's fascinating that you say that, because there's a famous saying, investors are always looking for a reason to sell. And as you and I are looking through investment news all day long, there's a bunch of worriers out there, and they've been screaming for a bear market for quite some time, but the momentum is still going forward.
It is going forward, but, you know, people want to be pessimistic, some are optimistic, so...
Right.
I'm more on the optimistic side. I think we'll see taxes being reduced next year when we see the big beautiful bill take effect on tax day in April, and I think it's going to really be good for the economy, and we're going to do well.
Well, and we've still seen earnings coming in. They've been positive.
Earnings. What makes a stock go up? Earnings. What about real estate? Location. People are spending, and people can say what they want to, but you can look at the parking lots of these stores when we drive by them, and you see people are spending. So that's good for the economy.
Well, let's talk about this too. I saw this term today, and I've never seen this before. It's called couch commerce. In other words, people spending from the couch, spending online, not even having to go to the stores, which, 10, 15 years ago, we would never even thought that's possible. I heard that foot traffic is actually down a little bit, but that Black Friday in-store traffic, even though it was down slightly, the numbers are still through the roof. Over your time investing, what kind of impact do you think we've seen from the ability to shop so easily? We've made it real easy to spend money with these phones.
I think times have changed. I think when I was younger, people didn't charge. You pay as you went. I mean, you may finance a house or a car. You had to. And I think now people give stuff all year round. And when I was coming up, we didn't get gifts except on birthdays and Christmas. And we were so appreciative, but I think it's a different world now. I think people, instead of buying dolls and toys, they buy iPads for the kids and different electronics. And I think, that's really not a good thing, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot more expectation from people because we have been through a rather affluent period. And I would even say, I don't like this turn that we've taken where kids are no longer going outside and playing with simpler toys or being creative. They're doing so much on their electronics that I think it's a little overwhelming. But anyway, I thought couch commerce was a fascinating phrase. All right, here's the next one. You just mentioned that credit used to not be a thing. Then layaway came around. Layaway went away. Now it's BNPL. And this has exploded, and it has really taken off. BNPL, do you know what it means without reading the screen?
I do.
What does it mean?
Pay now.
Buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
That's right. Buy now, pay later. And I saw some amazing numbers. Buy now, pay later, right? Just kind of like the credit thoughts. And some stores themselves are starting their own BNPL plans. Drove over $1 billion on Cyber Monday alone. And so I've been thinking about that, trying to let it sink in. People spend over $1 billion that maybe they don't have because it's buy now, pay later. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this. I think when I was coming up, it was just the opposite. If we had something that was relatively expensive, my mother was going to get, she would put it on the layaway like you mentioned. And then you go in and make payments in advance.
In advance.
And just the opposite of a credit card. And I think I always believed in not having debt if you can help it. And I think when people charge, they get in different moods during the month or whatever, and they say, well, it's okay to keep charging. Then they get the bill and they're flabbergasted. What in the world am I going to do? So I think it's too easy for people to get overextended. And I think it's in Christmas time when you're getting the spirit, you want to do everything you can for your family. I think people some people, not all people, get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, you're helping me remember, layaway was a thing when I was a kid. I remember my mom doing it and helped me remember, you didn't get the item, did you? They held it. Is that right?
That's right.
So it wasn't like credit where I'm going to give it to you and you can worry about paying it later. With layaway, they just held it and you came in and made payments. And then when you finished, they gave it to you. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. And I think, when we see one of our kids that needs something and we want to help them, we just go ahead and do it rather than working through it. And the kid gets it immediately instead of Christmas or birthdays or special occasions. And I think that's not as much fun as what it used to be to me, because I was raised when we got something, a gift, it was special. It
was a big deal.
And you appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I don't want to be negative, but that's
No, you're not. But this number really surprised me. $1 billion spent on Cyber Monday for BNPL. You ready for this? 80% of that, 80% of the buy now, pay later transactions that were done on Cyber Monday happened on a mobile phone. 80% of $1 billion that were purchased for BNPL, people did it not in the stores, but on their phone. That's astounding.
It is astounding, and it's going to even be a higher percent next year.
You're right.
We're seeing things change, and the world's changing, and it's just a different world than when I was coming up. But I think people, I still think they get in moods and they spend when they shouldn't be spending and do too much and get overextended.
What do you think about, I got a question for you. Are we because of this BNPL number, are we seeing confident consumers? Because that's measured, that's measured quite often. What is consumer confidence? Or are these cash-strapped consumers that are just pushing their debt into next year? Or maybe it's a blend.
Well, I think we see them pushing the debt into next year. And Joey, as well as I do, the rates on the credit cards are 20+%.
It's horrible.
It's not like the layaway. So, I mean,
Right.
And then you get where you're if you don't pay more than the interest, you end up, extending that debt out for years. And you can see on TV where people say, come in, call me, and I'll help you when you can't pay your taxes. I'll help you get the government to write it off.
Right.
And we see all kind of things like that. But
Well, you make a great point that I think people ought to consider. If you're trying to buy something, you see it on sale, and you use a credit card, if you don't pay the credit card off at the end of the month, you're paying more for the product anyway. You're not paying a sale price. You're paying an inflated price.
it is. But when you see those sales, it may be something you don't need, but you think it's such a discount, you end up putting it in your basket.
Right.
And you get in trouble, and that is a very dangerous thing to do.
I've got a trick I like to play on myself sometimes. I just was telling somebody about this, that if I'm shopping and maybe I'm getting influenced by a point of purchase situation, something's flashy or it's right there, I will make myself put it down and think to myself, if I still want this tomorrow, I'll come back. And I would bet 9 times out of 10, the next day, my feelings change.
You know, a great example of this is the grocery store and Costco. Because then when you go in and you see all these things and the sales, you end up getting more than you need.
Or try the sample of food.
Yeah, I know, and I love that. But I go in, every time I go to Costco. Beth, my wife, and I will go in to get something, and we end up with a basket full of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
we do
crazy.
the same thing. All right, let's jump into holiday shopping now. Data is showing consumers, and I know that both of our wives fit this bill, are looking for deep discounts. We've got some shoppers that are frugal and looking for discounts. Some of the information, and I thought this was interesting, that people are now waiting for moments to buy rather than spending steadily. So they're actually, the data is showing they're looking for those deals, looking for those discounts. People are starting to coupon again. You know, and what is that? What do you think that portends as we're looking into investments in the next year?
Well, I think it's an opportunity. I think as you said earlier, that the earnings are increasing on these companies, and I think you'll see that into next year. But you know, to me, what makes all this happen is the people that are into advertising. They're so good.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The advertising, and you know, we see this. One thing that really interests me, and I'm getting off the track a little bit, but when they advertise drugs on TV, you know, like. This is great for your sore throat. Well, I have a sore throat. I end up having to go to the doctor, and I say, doctor, this is what I need. And the doctor says, what are you talking about? I mean, people want to be in control, and it's just crazy. But I think the advertisers are really good.
Oh, they drive the entire market, and that's right now digital. I mean, you go back before the internet. I remember when the internet was just coming up thinking, how are they going to make money with ads on the internet? How is that? And now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Because the young generation has that phone and they know how to use it, and they see these ads and opportunities.
And now they're targeted. You say a word and it hears you.
I've heard you say this before, but you know, we've seen like the news. I don't want to get in politics, but they'll plant a seed that's somebody's this or that, and they really are not that, and then. You know, it takes off.
It's all controlling the narrative. I don't care if you're talking about advertising a product or a news feed. So everybody wants to control the narrative. I can completely agree. Go ahead.
You know, I'm going to change it a little bit here. You know, one thing that I think's difficult for young marrieds. You know, they're married, and the two families are different. And one likes to open presents on Christmas Eve. One likes to open on Christmas Day or whatever. One likes to eat at this time. One likes to eat at that time. And as they try to coordinate these two families, it gets difficult sometimes. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, I had a couple come in this week to our office who are a blended family. They've both been married before. They're both wonderful. And they really needed advice. I don't think I've had a chance to share this with you yet. It became more of a sort of a marital counseling session where I had to say, you both came from different backgrounds. He was brought up hard scrabble with not much. She had a loving family that had more, and here they are married trying to go forward, and they both just have different ideas. And so really this time I spent with them was really getting them to think about, okay, you're both coming from different places when it comes to bills and mortgages and spending for Christmas. You need to recognize where the spouse is coming from, and let's compromise. Let's try to get them. And they were great about it. But I think, you know, that's a huge part of just any relationship.
Yeah, you know, and it makes it hard. And then on Christmas morning, are the grandparents going to come over? They're not coming over. How are we going to coordinate these two families? But, you know, when it's all said and done, the kids have a great time.
That's right.
And that's what it's about. And I know my wife and I, we do plays about Jesus at Christmas and have the kids act it out. And but you know, I ask some kids say, you know, it's all about the stuff. Well, some kids say, I love the stuff. So
yeah, the stuff is a big draw, but I do think it's a great time to remember and remind people. It's so easy to get caught up in the stress of trying to get ready and get everything perfect and get the food and get the clean house and get the gifts. that your stress overwhelms what's supposed to be a worshipful sort of time of year.
And I'll say this, you talked about, I'm flipping back and forth on you, but you talked about sales and shopping. Women are 100 times better than men.
Oh, I know.
I don't care about the sale. I just want to go get it and get out of there.
No, you're right.
They are really good.
More patient. Most. Now I'm painting with a broad brush, but my wife.
Hey, I'm glad you said that. I brought a brush to paint a pretty picture.
Had no idea you were going to be using.
I'm glad you led me into that.
They are better, 100%. And speaking of that, I wanted to go over some holiday safety tips. I think that will help people. Some things that you can consider when you're shopping in person or online. We're going to start with when you're shopping in person. We talk about this with our loved ones, with our kids. When you get to a shopping center and you jump in anytime, do a 360-degree check before you get out of the car. Look around everywhere and just say, do I feel safe? Does it look safe? Is this kind of sketchy? You've just got to be aware of your surroundings. So I thought that was a good thing to remind people.
Let me say this. This is a real experience. My wife was coming out of a store, walking out the front door, going across the street, and a car drove up, and she had the bag hooked on her arm. Out the window, they grabbed the bag, and the car took off, and she went a few feet before the bag broke. If that bag hadn't come off her arm, they would have dragged her.
Yeah.
And people, this day and time, they'll do anything to get something for nothing.
Yeah, and so that's a great example and a reminder to look around you all the sometimes you're just not going to be able to avoid trouble. I get that. But try to knock those numbers down by just looking around you all the time. And here's a great one. Get off your phone. Walking into a place distracted, looking at your phone, which is 99.9% of people. If you're a bad actor, if you're a burglar, somebody who's trying to take advantage, you're looking for people who aren't focused and who are distracted. And man, that phone is a big problem.
It is a problem, and we hear about it every day, and we hear about people, scams, all sorts of scams, and it's heartbreaking that we live in a world that will do that.
Yep. Now, here's one I liked that I hadn't thought about. This tip was to avoid putting your bags. A lot of people do this. You'll go shop, you'll come back to the car, pop the trunk because you think the trunk is safe. I'm going to put my bags in there and go back in. They're now showing data that there are thieves in the parking lot that are tracking for that. And they'll either get you when you're doing it, or when you go back in, they pop the trunk and take all your presents. And so one of the suggestions was, if you don't do that, if you don't have to, get it all in one trip, be aware, get to your car, get out of there. If you have to do that, if you've got to make multiple trips, this was a good suggestion. They said after you put your gifts in the trunk, move your car. Go somewhere else, another part of the parking lot, that if there's somebody close by who is casing that area, they're not going to follow you. You're going to get to another area.
And, people have followed people home from
100%.
shopping.
That's in the news all the time. I like this one as well, and you all know this, parking well-lit areas. A lot of these parking lots, especially at night, you've got spots that aren't as well illuminated. If you can park close to the building, do that. But just make sure you've got your keys ready. You're not looking at your phone, and you can get in and out. All right, now let's talk about online, because you mentioned that a moment ago, and with something we take very seriously. One of the things I want to tell you that's really started to proliferate and go all over the place are fake sites. They can now clone legitimate sites, as you well know, and you'll go thinking you're shopping, and you're on a fake site. And so one of the things you've got to educate yourself about is studying the URLs, the codes on the little address bar. You need to look at those and make sure it's not some weird combination, but that it's actually the legitimate one, or else you're on a fake site.
Joey, old people can't see that. They don't want to know what URL code is.
Yeah, I'm trying to educate them. We got some smart people in this room. The URL code is your address. And so let's say if you're going to, I don't know, Gap. If it's instead of gap.com, if it says gap.eu.turkey.llc something, you're in a bad spot, because these big box retailers and the smaller ones should look clean and legit as well. If it starts looking and smelling like, week-old fish, I would go somewhere else.
I want to make another suggestion. This is something that my wife and I do. Everything I have in my wallet, credit card, driver's license, whatever it may be, I take a picture of that, make a hard copy on a copy machine. And same thing in my wife's purse. If somebody does rob us or hold us up, then immediately I can go get that and cancel everything. I have the phone numbers beside it.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have a record what you have on you.
Yeah. That's
So-
good. That's a good idea. Here's another one I liked. If you go to buy something online, we're still talking about online safety. There's quite often an option to use guest checkout. So when you go to checkout and pay online, they either want you to say, I'm a returning customer and you've got all my information. But this idea is different. It's saying use the guest checkout so that you're not permanently giving them your credit card information, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to create an account, give them your address and your credit card. But if you do a guest checkout, usually that's a very temporary hold for them, and so they don't have your credit card information.
That's good too.
Well, we know that's a big deal, especially with people that are maybe not paying as much attention, right? And so that brings me to one of my last points. Watch for the scams. I mean, hopefully you've heard enough noise about this and will continue, that you've got to be pretty suspicious of everything. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. You can't let your guard down, because there's just too many people looking for, and they're going to continue looking for new ways to try to trick you.
That's exactly right. We see it every day.
Every day. I mean, new, bizarre ways that they will try to trick you, which brings me to my last point, which is just be aware. We mentioned this earlier about walking from your car. Don't look at your phone. Always be focused. Keep your head on a swivel. Look around you. Know what's going on. If you don't feel safe, get back in the car and drive away. Drive somewhere else. Just be aware of where you are, what's going on around you, because bad actors, and I try to use that instead of thieves and burglars, but they're looking for someone who's not paying attention that they can drive up on or run by or try to snatch, and it's just, unfortunately, that's going to be part of the situation.
You know, it may almost be better to shop in pairs with two people.
Well,
Because, people, they will look at you and see if you're an easy target or a harder target.
oh, yeah, 100%. And, it's just natural. Someone who's smaller or frailer, they're going to take advantage of that person. So if you've got more than one person, and be vocal as well. Oh, you got something to say?
I got a good one that Lexus taught me.
Okay, what did Lexus?
Dealership, when I bought my car.
Yeah.
They told me, now remember, whenever you go out to your car, before you get close to it, sound the alarm. So that if anybody's hanging out around your car to get you, it'll scare them off.
Sound the alarm on your car. If you couldn't hear that,
Yeah, but if you know how to turn it off, that's a good thing.
yeah, you better know how to turn it off. But Lexus of Memphis gave one of our hundreds of viewers in the studio audience the suggestion: while you're walking to your car, turn on the alarm. It's on your button, and that would scare somebody off. I'll even go a step further and say, get a visual of around your car as well, and who's in the car next to you. And I'll tell you this, there's a lot of people that sit in their cars in parking lots. And I know a lot of that's legit. It's husbands or whatever waiting, but it always makes me wary. What are they doing? Are they right? If they're backed in, you just gotta be looking around.
But even with all this, it's a fun time of the year, and it's an exciting time. And I really enjoy Christmas. And the wives make it special for the family and everybody. And I think that's a good thing. And we just want to protect people and where they can enjoy it and not have to go through trauma.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Listen, this is anything final you want to add?
Oh, yeah. I've been thinking about this, and I've been shut down every time. Now, people, I know Joey has me on from time to time, and I want you to let him know I want to do a comedy routine with him. And he will not do it, but I want you to request this. And I'm going to give you a sample.
Oh, no.
Do you know why Santa Claus looked in the toilet? He was looking for Pooh Bear.
And they...
that's good. Don't hold back.
And he wondered, listen, let's hear from... He wonders why our spouses are here shaking their heads behind the cameras.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, hey, listen, thank you again to our friends at Lexus of Memphis. If you are out Christmas shopping, go by the dealership. Say hi to Ron Goss and the whole group. Tell them hello. Go look at some cars, because they're amazing out there, and tell them we said hello.
Yeah, they're really fun to drive. I have one, and I never thought I would own one, but it's really a fun car.
He drives like he's on a racetrack. Hey, friends, you can also email us. Here's the info. If you like Bill's jokes, you want more of them, let me know. Email me at thecurrenttemp@gmail.com. You can watch these on my Facebook page. You can please subscribe on YouTube, and that way you can watch these whenever you want to. You can share them, or you can listen on Spotify. Bill said this a moment ago, and I want to say that our hope is that you and your family have a blessed Christmas season. We want you to stay safe all year long, and just enjoy the magic of us celebrating the birth of a Savior. And Bill, thank you for being here.
Do you have anything on the weather coming up?
Yeah, actually, it's been a very interesting little window where we've got these chances for freezing rain, sleet nearby, and I have a feeling we'll be doing more on that because they're sliding by Memphis. I think over the next we just saw one. We've got another one coming by later this week that's going to be brushing past us. So yeah, we'll be doing more on that as well.
All right. Well, we need to keep up with that because that can hurt shopping.
Oh, I know. That could have an impact on holiday season, and so those jokes could as well. So we're going to keep an eye on that. All right. Thank you for our studio audience, and thank you guys for being with us today.